How's it going out there on this, well, in my case, particularly stormy Sunday, or Sunday, excuse me, Jesus, Tuesday. So I did a video, I did a video ranting about Antifa, and then I did a video recently about Charlottesville, and I touched on Boston a little bit, I think, if I remember correctly, but for the amount of time that has passed since I've done those videos and in regards to them, I've recently come across, well, in my case, I view it as hilarity, but some would kind of view it depressingly, which I guess I do too in my own way, and in light of Charlottesville and the Boston Free Speech Rally and ensuing counter-protests at that free speech rally, most Americans found themselves face-to-face with two groups of people that up until now had been relatively unknown to the ignorant throngs. Most people don't pay much attention to politics in general, never mind the fringes, and let's face it, these groups are on the fringes of the left and the right respectively, but putting the alt-right aside for now, the thing that makes me wonder most is how the media has no issue whatsoever denouncing the alt-right, which they should. We are well aware of the fact that the alt-right stands for, quite frankly, some rather disturbing things. You go down to the far, far right side of it. But, of course, the alt-right in of itself is somewhat of a, innocuous term. But it's used to mainly be a descriptor of people that are white nationalists, white supremacists, and in some cases also neo-Nazis, which, yes, there is a difference between the three. But the fact that the media has no problem, pointing out how bad the alt-right is, but while simultaneously seeming to turn the other cheek towards Antifa and the alt-left, or in CNN's case, they just flat out claim that, oh, no, they're not the bad guys, they're just trying to get peace through violence. Which, when I read that, I think I busted a gut, definitely. I laughed so hard at that, which, I guess brightened my day in its own right, so I do have to give them that it was a pretty funny story to read. And the headline of itself is more than a clear indication of what the whole aspect of what they're trying to do is like. Now, I think I said this multiple times, that Antifa are essentially fascists that are just disguising themselves as anti-fascists, which a lot of people are like, well, they're anti-fascists. How are they fascists? I was like, well, a murderer could say that they're not a murderer. It doesn't change the fact that they killed somebody intentionally. Like, if you murder somebody, but you go into court and say, well, I'm not a murderer, is the judge going to be like, well, he said he wasn't a murderer, guys. I guess we got to let him go. No, that's not how the world works. I mean, they can say that they're anti-fascists all day, but you boil it all down, you look at their ideals and their actions, not just their ideology, but also their actions. And yes, they are fascists. But the issue that I have with this isn't that Antifa exists. I believe in free speech. I advocate free speech for all, for the alt-left and the alt-right. Free speech and peaceful assembly. When things get violent, then it's just a matter of, well, assault in most cases, and in some cases attempted murder. But the reason why I feel, and I'm sure this goes for a lot of people as well, the main reason why we feel the need to point out the alt-left is because the media has already pointed out the alt-right. So it's like, all right, well, the media has already said everything that needs to be said about the alt-right. Yeah, they're vile, disgusting racists. Like, that's been established, and it's well known. But when you have the media going, like, you see these alt-righters, you see how terrible they are, and some people are like, wait a minute, what about those other guys in black masks that are going around with baseball bats, bottles filled with urine, and frankly doing the exact same thing? Well, we don't worry about them. They're just using violence for peace. They're just going after the alt-righters, which in the linked in the video description will be a YouTube video of a man that got punched at the Boston Free Speech Rally by Antifa for simply not denouncing white people, which denouncing white people is racist. And anybody that tells you otherwise is unaware of what the definition of racism is. And I'm not talking about the new age, modern, progressive definition. No, I mean the old school Merriam-Webster dictionary. It's there in black and white. But I digress. So, with Antifa doing all these things, we have a media right now that isn't portraying both sides of the story properly. They're telling you what would be considered a half-truth. They tell you the one side without giving you context to the other side. In most cases, I'm well aware of the fact that there are alternative forms of media and probably some other more mainstream members of the media that are saying, yes, the alt-left and the alt-right had kind of a war going on in Charlottesville. I use the term war there very loosely. And, of course, that's going to happen. But, the big names, CNN, MSNBC, the quote-unquote fake news, as Trump would like to call them, which in some cases, yes, they are fake news. But in this case, the reason why it's such an issue is because those people they're reporting a half-truth, and a majority of Americans and humans in general get a lot of their news and a lot of their opinions are formed by the mainstream media. So it is in this case, is our jobs to make sure that while they're over there in their gilded cages, pointing at the alt-right, telling them how evil they are, as they should, we should also be like, yes, they're terrible people. However, Antifa isn't any fucking better. And the fact that it has to be said, and I saw a post on Twitter that made me kind of, to go off the rails here, to go off on a tangent. I saw this post on Twitter that made me cringe a little bit, and it was I can't think of who it was, but I saw it briefly and it passed into my vision. But it said, well, she was trying to argue with me, or he was trying to argue with me that the Antifa and the alt-left has done as much damage as the Nazis did, which, in regards to actual Nazis, like talking, Hitler Nazis, yeah, Hitler Nazis did a shit ton of damage. So not only, human rights, human life, but also, other countries' property as well. If you go off the core, off of how much damage they've done to property. However, if you're saying in that situation that the alt-left has done less damage in the United States than the alt-right has, you, quite frankly, haven't been paying attention since, a year and a half, 2 years ago. Or more, for that matter. Antifa could have been around for a lot longer than that. But the point is that is how deep the ignorance goes. They think that Antifa, most people would, if met on the street, your average layman would say that Antifa is just, anti-fascists. And they say, well, what about the alt-right? Oh, well, those are obviously neo-Nazis and fascists. And that's because they're educated by the mainstream media. So, with that being said, was this video intended to be another hit piece on Antifa? Well, quite frankly, I don't think they need a hit piece. They can do all their own fuckery themselves, and they'll prove to everyone exactly how much of a fucking worthless group they are. Well, and anybody that has an open mind and isn't just listening to the mainstream media. Is this me saying that the alt-left is worse than the alt-right? No. No. The only thing that the alt-left has that's different than the alt-right is the fact that the alt-left has mainstream media backing them. That is about the only difference between the two groups that I can see through my own eyes. I look at them both with the same amount of disdain. But what the point of the video was to point out how important it is for mainstream media specifically to show both sides of a narrative so that people can get a perspective and understand that both sides of this narrative are not just simply entirely and without a doubt fundamentally wrong and ignorant, but that both sides should be held accountable for pretty much the same thing with different colors. Anyway, that will do it for this one. I feel like I've rambled and talked your ears off enough as it is. As usual, my next video will be on Thursday or Friday. I don't know how my schedule is going to be this week yet. Been a very busy work schedule for the past couple of months, but summertime. So I will see all of you Thursday and have a good morning, afternoon, evening, and or night. See you later.